You are watching No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and these are my views and opinions. Welcome to No Filter with Debbie. I'm Debbie Schlussel, and before I tell you what's driving me crazy, I'm going to share some good scheduling news for this show. As you know, this show right now appears at 4:30. Now it is going to switch on November 30th to 10 p.m. So keep that on your calendars. If on November 30th you can't find our show at 4:30, there's a reason why. We're on at 10 p.m. that night. So, and that will be our new time slot. So stay tuned, change your schedules so you can continue to watch us. We love our viewers, we love hearing from you, and we look forward to seeing you at 10 p.m. starting on November 30th. Now on to what's driving me crazy, and I'll tell you what it is. It's social media, because the tech giants, the tech kingpins, are still blocking and labeling and censoring out speech that they do not agree with. And it's not speech by some far left or far right Nazis. No. It's anybody who's conservative. Anybody who is in far left of center, so far that they're off the deep end. Anybody that expresses an opinion about President Trump and the elections and election fraud that has been documented. They are censored. So today, the senators that we showed you before, senators like Ted Cruz, senators like Josh Hawley, they had another crack at the tech kingpins. And I think they did a very good job. So first up was Jack Dorsey, who is the CEO and founder of Twitter. He's the guy that now thinks he has stolen a costume from the Amish. He's a billionaire, and check him out. Look at this video of Ted Cruz grilling Jack Dorsey.
Let me shift to a different topic. Mr. Dorsey, does voter fraud exist?
I don't know for certain.
Are you an expert in voter fraud?
No, I'm not.
Well, why then is Twitter right now putting purported warnings on virtually any statement about voter fraud?
We're simply linking to a broader conversation so that people have more information.
No, you're not. You put up a page that says, quote, voter fraud of any kind is exceedingly rare in the United States. That's not linking to a broader conversation. That's taking a disputed policy position, and you're a publisher when you're doing that. You're entitled to take a policy position, but you don't get to pretend you're not a publisher and get a special benefit under Section 230 as a result.
That link is pointing to a broader conversation with tweets from publishers and people all around the country.
Mr. Dorsey, would the following statement violate Twitter's policies? Quote, absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud.
I imagine that we would label it so that people can have more context in read through.
How about this quote? Quote, third-party organizations, candidates, and political activists. Voter fraud is particularly possible where, quote, third-party organizations, candidates, and political party activists are involved in, quote, handling absentee ballots. Would you flag that as potentially misleading?
I don't know the specifics of how we might enforce that, but I imagine a lot of these would have a label pointing people to a bigger conversation.
Well, you're right. You would label them because you've taken the political position right now that voter fraud doesn't exist. I would note both of those quotes come from the Carter-Baker Commission on Federal Election Reform. That is Democratic President Jimmy Carter and former Secretary of State James Baker. And Twitter's position is essentially voter fraud does not exist. Are you aware that just 2 weeks ago in the state of Texas, a woman was charged with 134 counts of election fraud? Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that.
If I tweeted that statement with a link to the indictment, would you put a warning on it that says, well, the Democratic Party position right now is voter fraud doesn't exist?
I don't think it's useful to get into hypotheticals, but I don't believe so.
You don't believe so? Well, we're going to test that because I'm going to tweet that and we'll see what you put on it.
So he doesn't want to respond to hypotheticals. These are not hypotheticals. This is what has been going on. And his statement about, oh, we wanted to contribute to the broader conversation. Are you kidding me? Is there anybody that believes that? Anybody? Anybody. It's just ridiculous. If you believe that, I have some land under Mount Rushmore to sell you. The fact is that they only labeled certain people's tweets. And who were those people? Conservatives and President Trump. And they only labeled things about the election coming up and how people were worried about mail-in ballots, which they had every right to be, and the people who are worried about the election counting after the election happened and the mail-in ballots. Ted Cruz was absolutely right, and this guy, Jack Dorsey, he did not know what hit him. His responses were ridiculous. They're not believable. Nobody in their right mind believes anything he's saying. And I'm going to tell you in a little bit about a voter fraud case in California that involves mail-in ballots. But before we do that, I want to point out a few other things. So Jack Dorsey was asked about this New York Post story. This is what started all this, even though this has been going on for a few years now. My original account that had tens of thousands of followers, I got kicked off Twitter. They did not like my conservative values, so I lost my account. I was permanently banned. I started a new account with a new name. But that's what they did to me, and that's what they have done to many, many conservatives. They do not do this to left-wingers. And by the way, the only people on the far, far left or on the nut job left that they've ever taken off were people like Louis Farrakhan from the Nation of Islam. And he's back on there. They just took down some of his tweets. They told him he had to delete some of his hate tweets that had been up for years. The leader of Iran, who openly questions the Holocaust, he's still on there. In fact, the leader of Malaysia, I think I mentioned this on another show, he said that it was okay for Muslims in France to murder Frenchmen because they don't like cartoons against Muhammad. He said that was okay. He called on Muslims to do that. Twitter did not take it down until many, many conservatives like myself complained about it. He is a person that acts out of convenience and mostly out of ideology. He's an ideologue. He's an activist. So they pointed out, by the way, that 99% of the employees at Twitter who contribute to political campaigns contribute to the Democrats. 99%. Now, you know who those 1% are? Probably former Twitter employees, or their offices are in some cold, dark space in the basement of Twitter, and nobody talks to them or takes them out to lunch. That's what's going on at Twitter. 99%. 99%. That is almost 100%. That's as close as you're going to get, pretty much. They have the 1% to look kosher. It's not kosher. All right? And he was asked about this Hunter Biden tweet. That's what started all of these big hearings, even though this censorship has been going on for a very, very long time. So what did he say about the Hunter Biden story? Well, he said that in retrospect, looking back on it now, of course, now that the election is over, and he doesn't have to worry about stopping the Trump campaign from getting the truth out and all of Trump's supporters from spreading the news about Hunter Biden, now he thinks it's a mistake, or that it was a mistake, to suspend the New York Post's account for weeks, several weeks before the election. Now he realizes it was a mistake. He doesn't think it was a mistake. Here's what he thinks. He thinks, I'm upset that now this is the second time that I've been grilled by these senators, so I better say something like, oh, it was a mistake and I regret it. He does not regret it. All right, when we come back, I'll show you some of the testimony of Mark Zuckerberg and what's going on in California with the election fraud case. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Howdy, folks. It's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Beck Communications is honored to be recently recognized with 3 Broadband Now awards. Beck Communications Cooperative was awarded in the categories of Top Internet Speeds Nationwide, Top 3 Fastest Internet Providers in North Dakota, and North Dakota's #1 Fastest Fiber Provider. It's only through the support of our members and customers that Beck Fiber delivers award-winning speeds and service. Thank you, Beck Communications Cooperative members and customers, for your years of continued support.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Is your business phone system outdated and expensive to maintain? Most large VoIP companies leave you on hold or struggling through online support and training for your employees. With Beck Connect, you always have fast, friendly, local support. Familiar faces with the know-how to keep you connected. Take advantage of the newest technology in voice calling, video conferencing, and virtual meeting rooms. Beck Connect gives you all the features you need with no upfront investment and no obsolete hardware or software ever again. Simplify your communications. Choose local. Choose Beck Connect.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So, before we get on to Facebook, I want to mention this. Jack Dorsey admitted in his testimony that Twitter has added 300,000 warning labels to tweets that he felt, or his minions at Twitter felt, were misleading about the election. What percentage do you think of those 300,000 warning labels, what percentage do you think went to liberals tweeting? If even 1%. Come on, let's be honest. These were all put on conservative tweets, supporters of the president. We know it. It's very obvious. All you have to do is be on Twitter and see who gets labeled and who does not. I've had death threats repeatedly. I've had people send me tweets calling for people to murder me. This was before my account was taken away from me, my other account. I'm back on Twitter, so look for me. And I complained to Twitter, and they sent me messages. This tweet does not violate our community standards. I had people send me pictures of themselves saluting next to, doing the Hitler salute next to a statue of Hitler. They sent that to me and said, oh, Hitler didn't gas enough Jews. You should have been among them. It didn't violate their standards. What violates their standards is anything to the right of far left off the deep end. Again, it's absurd. And he told Senator Dianne Feinstein that they have to put these labels on to prevent harm. What's the harm? What, we're idiots? People reading Twitter are idiots if they read anything by conservatives that Jack Dorsey and his gang don't agree with. By the way, he censored pretty much every tweet about election fraud. He said that there's no election fraud or there's very little. These claims are made up, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? 2 men have been charged in a 41-count criminal complaint in California for allegedly submitting thousands of fraudulent voter registration applications on behalf of homeless people, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office announced. The guy that was behind it, two men that were behind it, Carlos Antonio de Bourbon Montenegro. Wow, that's a mouthful. AKA Mark Anthony Gonsalves. So he's got 2 names. Anytime someone has an alias, they're either a terrorist or a criminal or both. And Marcus Raul Arevalo. So they were each charged with conspiracy to commit voter fraud. Yeah, that's that word. We're not allowed to mention that phrase, voter fraud. 8 counts of voter fraud, 4 counts of procuring and offering a false and forged instrument, and 4 misdemeanor counts of interference with the prompt transfer of a completed affidavit. And there's also more. But by the way, they were going to mail in these ballots. This was going to be that fraud we warned about. So the case was filed for a warrant on Thursday. All right? This case is ongoing. If you would have tweeted about this, you would get labeled. You would get censored because facts are stubborn things. Sadly, the censors at Twitter and these social media tech giants more so. Now, there was not just Jack Dorsey at these hearings. There was also Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. And I want you to listen to what Senator Josh Hawley said to him. We didn't really include his answers because I'll just summarize them. They weren't important, except for that he refused to provide answers. But watch this.
19th century, the heads of the biggest corporations in America, the robber barons, got together and they set rates, they set prices, they determined how they would control information flow, they determined how they get rid of competition. And I'll be darned if we aren't right back there again. Except for this time, you're the robber barons. Your companies are the most powerful companies in the world, and I want to talk about how you're coordinating together to control information. In recent days, my office was contacted by a Facebook whistleblower, a former employee of the company with direct knowledge of the company's content moderation practices, and I want to start by talking about an internal platform called Tasks that Facebook uses to coordinate projects, including censorship. The Tasks platform allows Facebook employees to communicate about projects they're working on together. That includes Facebook's censorship teams, including the so-called community well-being team, the integrity team, and the hate speech engineering team, who all use the Task platform to discuss which individuals or hashtags or websites to ban. Now, Mr. Zuckerberg, you're familiar with the Task platform, aren't you?
Senator, we use the task system for, I think it's, as you say, for people coordinating all kinds of work across the company, although I'm not sure if I'd agree with the characterization specifically around content moderation that you gave.
Well, let's get into that, and let me see if we can refresh your memory and provide folks at home watching with an example. Here over my shoulder is an example. It's a screenshot of the Task platform in use. You'll notice if the cameras zoom in, several references to election integrity throughout on these lists of tasks. Again, this is shared across Facebook's sites, company locations, by working groups. What particularly intrigued me is that the platform reflects censorship input from Google and Twitter as well. So Facebook, as I understand it, Facebook censorship teams communicate with their counterparts at Twitter and Google and then enter those companies' suggestions for censorship onto the Task platform so that Facebook can then follow up with them and effectively coordinate their censorship effort.
That's collusion, and guess what? It's illegal. So forget this phony Trump-Russia collusion we heard about for the last 4 years that was used to disrupt and prevent a successful Trump presidency. Didn't work, but they did hamper the Trump administration a lot and took away a lot of time from important things. That was fake. There was no Trump-Russia collusion, but this is actual collusion in the United States between the tech giant companies about who they're going to ban, what hashtags, why are they even discussing hashtags that they're going to ban? You're banning hashtags? Then you're not interested in preventing hate speech. You're not interested in preventing wrong information or preventing deaths or whatever. You're not interested in that. What you're interested in when you ban whole hashtags and you're in discussions about that, especially with your rivals, which is, again, collusion, and it's illegal. It violates all the anti-competitive laws that we have. When you're doing that, your interest is to suppress speech of not just one viewpoint, but many viewpoints that come from a certain set of directions, and that's what they're doing. Now, we didn't show you the responses because his responses were a bunch of mealy-mouthed excuses and denials, which were not accurate, because Senator Hawley said, listen, do you have a list of all the people, all the hashtags, all the topics, all the words you have banned from your social media company, Facebook, and I want them? And Mark Zuckerberg said, well, I can't commit, there might be certain sensitivities. What does that mean? He doesn't want us to see the truth is what it means. All right, so he said there's going to be certain sensitivities, I have to discuss it. And Senator Hawley said, no, he said, I'll talk to you about it later. Senator Hawley said, no, you're under oath now. Make a commitment now. So yes or no. And he wouldn't. Not only wouldn't he, but Senator Hawley said, you know what? I can subpoena those. We have subpoena power. And they should subpoena them, and they should do it now, before those Senate races in Georgia are decided and before everything is new next year. They should be doing that now. And if I were Mitch McConnell, and if Mitch McConnell had any testicles, he would say to the Democrats and to anybody else interested, you want another COVID relief package? Then here's what's going to happen. Section 230 is gone. All the immunity these companies have is gone. And now they're going to be overseen by an independent body that includes a lot of conservatives. We have to do that because we would never let, as Dinesh D'Souza said, we would never let a phone company say, well, I'm sorry, I don't agree with your point of view, so you can't have telephone service. We would never allow that. That just would not happen. And this is what they are doing. All right. When we come back, the liberals are mad. Why? Because as a result of all of this, a lot of conservatives and other people are leaving and they're going somewhere else, and we'll tell you about that. And also, a Native American activist has compared something to Auschwitz, and it's unbelievable. Something in North Dakota. You won't believe this. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
I just went in for a regular mammogram and I found out that I had a little tumor.
Through the exam and the biopsy, it was determined that I had cancer.
I got a call from one of my doctors that I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
After 5 years, they found a local reoccurrence.
The first thing you hear when you're told you have a cancer, it's a little daunting because you don't know where to go with it.
Since 1999, in a partnership between CHI St. Alexius Health and Sanford Health Bismarck, the Bismarck Cancer Center has provided the most advanced radiation therapies and holistic support services for cancer patients and their loved ones for 20 years.
I've been at the Bismarck Cancer Center since it started. I actually was in the basement of Med Center 1 before, when we had old machines and old equipment. And thankfully, the two hospitals at the time, St. Alexius and Med Center 1, joined forces to create the Bismarck Cancer Center.
I walk in the door, I get nothing but hugs, and I was marveled at them. I mean, I thought it was the best place in the world.
The staff is unbelievably compassionate, and they explain everything to you.
Everybody's genuinely concerned about your well-being, and the level of care is just top-notch. The Cancer Center just does such an amazing job of helping people.
To me and my family, the Cancer Center means life. It's given me the ability to live out my life with my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren.
Because of them, I'm 2 years out. Get to move on with my life, make a difference now for other people.
I would recommend this center because the minute you walk through that door, they've got your back.
This center means so much to me and to the people that are in this building, and we just want to keep giving it back to the community and providing for them what they need.
I'm Katie. I've been cancer-free for 2 years.
I'm Steve, and I've been cancer-free for 4 years.
I've been cancer-free for 10 years.
10 years.
11 years.
15 years.
My name is Lainey, and I've been cancer-free for 18 years.
Bismarck Cancer Center, your partner against cancer for 20 years.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So before the break, we were talking about these tech giants that are censoring people whose opinions they don't like. Well, guess what's happening? You know what? When you close your marketplace, when you restrict your market too much, people leave. They want the free market. They gravitate towards that. So a lot of people are leaving and going to Parler. They're also going to other places like Gab and MeWe and a few other places, but Parler is the biggest beneficiary. I'm on Parler. I can't remember what my name is on there because I can't get back into it. They've been so overwhelmed that they're not sending me a new password. They don't recognize the password I remember, but I'll be back on there. So if you find me, search my name, you'll find my account. Start following me because there's a lot of stuff I put on there on my social media that I don't always do on the show just because we're only an hour every day and I only get 45 minutes of that hour. So, because we got to pay the bills to keep the show on the air. So Parler is getting a lot of people, not just conservatives, libertarians, people who are in the center, people who are just sick of the censorship. There are some left-wing people on Parler, like Glenn Greenwald that we told you about, who had to quit his own publication, The Intercept, because they wouldn't print his article that was critiquing Joe Biden and his son Hunter Biden's business dealings in Ukraine and China. So some of the people who are liberal do not like this. And you know who they are? People like the people at CNN. Check out this video.
I think big picture, Pamela, here's the concerning trend line here. People are going more and more into their own echo chambers, more and more into their own bubbles, especially Trump voters. There's this new social media app called Parler getting a lot of attention because conservatives are saying they're leaving Twitter and Facebook, going off to Parler because they believe Parler is a safer space for them. What we're seeing is even more of a bunker mentality in right-wing media, and ultimately that's not good for the country.
No, it's not good. It's a threat to democracy that these people are in echo chambers and they're getting fed a diet of lies, essentially. Brian
Lies.
Stelter.
That's what it is. Thanks.
Not good for democracy? What are they smoking? What's not good for democracy is to have 3 tech giants controlling the internet, 3 or 4, and telling you what you can say and squelching anybody that says anything that gives them the slightest feeling of a paper cut because they don't like it. That's what's squelching democracy. That's what's not good for democracy. And you're saying that because there's a free market and people go elsewhere when they don't like the way you treat them, that that's bad for democracy? No, 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 no. That is democracy. Democracy is where people vote. They vote with their feet, they vote with their dollars, they vote at the ballot box. They vote. That's what the free market is. When you squelch their speech, when you tell them you can't say this, you can't say that. If you say this, we're going to put a label. If you say that, we're going to block it, like they did to the New York Post. People vote with their virtual feet. So not with their actual feet, but they're going to other websites virtually. That's not an echo chamber. An echo chamber is when you only let your point of view come across, which is what they're doing at Twitter. Twitter is an echo chamber. CNN is an echo chamber. That's why liberals watch it in droves. So don't lecture us about an echo chamber. You're the echo chamber. These people are such hypocrites, it's incredible. Now, more Hitler stuff. All right, so we told you last week about how Christiane Amanpour, the Iranian-born anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, far-left-wing, anti-Trump CNN person, she's also on PBS also, she's got an hour-long show. She compared the Trump presidency to Kristallnacht, which, as I told you, is the night of the broken glass. It's the unofficial start of the Holocaust, where many Jews were dragged out of their homes and they were beaten to death, tortured, shot on the street. Their businesses, the reason why it was called Night of the Broken Glass was their businesses, the front windows were shattered, signs were put up, Jews are not allowed to do business here. Many of them were rounded up and sent to their deaths in Auschwitz. And we'll talk to you about Auschwitz in a second. Christiane Amanpour came under a lot of fire. So now she's apologizing. Don't believe her baloney apology. I don't need it as a Jew and as the descendant of Holocaust survivors. Most of both sides of my family were wiped out by the Nazis. My grandparents, my maternal grandparents, were survivors of many camps, including Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, where the late Anne Frank was gassed to death, or she died of malnutrition, whatever. She passed away at Bergen-Belsen. Many Jews were murdered there and other places. And Christiane Amanpour compared the Trump presidency to these things. It's an outrage. It was disgusting. Now she's issuing a fake apology, not because she wants to. She says she made a mistake. She didn't really believe it. Oh, yes, she did. She believed it. She wrote these words. No one put a gun to her head. She didn't just utter it by accident through Tourette syndrome. No, no, no. This was her view. This is her view. I don't need her apology. She has a history, by the way, of Jew hatred and of Israel hatred, and a lot of it borders on Holocaust denial, too. She can go to, H-E double hockey sticks. Goodbye. I just wish she were fired. She would have been if she said something like this, comparing Donald Trump to slavery or to something that offended black people. But you know what, the Jews, it doesn't matter. All right, so that's her. And speaking of other ridiculous Holocaust comparisons, there is Native activist Winona LaDuke. All right, she is from Minnesota, but she gave an interview on public television where she compared the people who are starving and they need jobs in this economy, who are working on Line 3 and who are working on the Dakota Access Pipeline. She compared them to people who work in the gas chambers at Auschwitz. Watch this.
You know what? It's kind of like getting a job in the gas chamber. That's a great job to have, but it's really not the job you want to have over the long term. And that's what this pipeline is like. It's like the ecological equivalent to Auschwitz. That's what this pipeline is. And so I don't want to work in the gas chamber, and I don't want an Auschwitz. What I want is water. I want wild rice, and I want a future without conflict in it. And this pipeline is just going to bring conflict to our state. And this is the time for peace, not the time for more foreign employees coming in.
Okay.
Lots of pandemic stuff. Yeah.
Time's escaped us. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. We're going to have more coverage, by the way, more perspective.
Thank you so much. That's what those hosts from PBS, which is why I call it Palestinian Broadcasting System, public broadcasting that your tax dollars are paying for. They didn't disagree with her. They didn't interrupt or interject when she talked about Auschwitz and the gas chambers. They just said, oh, we're out of time. Nice to have you on. We'll have you again. Are you serious? They said nothing. That is disgusting. As I told you, my family, most of them perished on both sides in the Holocaust. People were gassed in the gas chambers. They were cremated in these chambers afterwards. They took them to the crematoria, all right? After having shaved their heads, taken out their gold teeth, taken anything that was on them of value, all right? That's what happened to them. 6 million people were murdered because they were Jewish. 5 million others because they were gay, because they were mentally or physically disabled, because they were elderly, because they were otherwise deemed unfit. This woman comparing honest people delivering to us our oil so that we can drive in a car. I'll bet you she doesn't have a Tesla. She probably drives using gas. To compare those people to Auschwitz gas chamber workers because they want to earn a living and provide us a service so we can get from one place to the other is absolutely disgusting. So this woman, Winona LaDuke, she needs to be silenced. You know, they talk about cancel culture. Cancel culture is only for conservatives. It's not for people like her. Nothing was said to her. Nothing. Not a word of disagreement. When we come back, we'll talk about what's going on in North Dakota with the COVID restrictions and how they're not being enforced and why that's a good thing. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
Bismarck Central, 4800.
4800, go ahead.
Requesting social services on-call team.
Stand by. 4800 social services requesting additional information.
You can advise social services that we have an 18-month-old female who was in a residence with a mother now being transported to medical care for overdose.
Trusting your digital life to faceless tech giants can be risky. Will they keep your family and business information truly safe from prying eyes? If you subscribe to local Beck Lightband internet service, you already have Beck Cloud Backup. Beck Cloud Backup is the safest, most private cloud storage for all your family memories, schoolwork, and business documents. Call 701-475-2361 to start using your free space on Beck Cloud Backup today.
You just might find the home of your dreams this weekend by watching the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes Sundays at 6 p.m. and Wednesdays at 7 on Beck, featuring properties from Bismarck, Mandan, Minot, and surrounding areas. The Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes presents desirable properties that are for sale, lets you meet your Alliance realtors, and provides critical insights into local happenings from community and business leaders. Join us this Sunday evening at 6 or Wednesday at 7 for the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes on Beck.
Today's households have more digital devices than ever before. More links to family, business, education, and entertainment. Beck Communications spent over 10 years building North Dakota's fastest fiber optic internet service. Beck Lightband Internet, outpacing speeds in large cities nationwide. Lightband Internet handles all your digital needs without throttling your connection to the world. Beck Communications, valuable digital connections in rural North Dakota.
Howdy folks, it's a Canline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-bossing breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Canline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the game. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So North Dakota right now has its toughest laws, the mask mandate and the statewide mask mandate, the rules on extracurricular sports, activities, and the like, the rules on occupancy and the hours that restaurants and bars can operate in. It really is a sea change from having been a completely free state, which our neighbors to the south, South Dakota, still are. And they don't have the same problems that we do. So it really isn't about mask mandates or anything else. And I'll tell you more about that in a bit. But first I want to tell you what's driving me nuts about all this COVID stuff, and that is it goes along with whether or not masks work. We don't know. There are no long-term studies, and there won't be for 5 or 10 years. So we won't know if any of this is effective. And in fact, many studies in the past on how masks prevent the spread of other things, other viruses and other illnesses have shown conflicting data and conflicting results. But here's the thing that really bugs me. They've been telling us 5 million different things. First they told us don't wear masks, that will make it worse. Then Anthony Fauci said, oh, I was lying. We needed masks, so I didn't want you to know the truth. Now wear masks because you could get sick from this. Then they told us the masks only protect the other people around the person wearing the mask. Now they're telling us, no, the masks protect the person wearing the mask. First they told us you can get immunity and you'll never get it again. And then they said, no, wait. People get this again after having it a first time. Then they said, no, wait. Your odds of getting it again are slim to none. Then they said, oh no, look at these cases where people got it again. First they told us you have to wipe down all your groceries. You have to clean all these surfaces. You must use wipes. You must Lysol everything. Then they told us, oh, you know what? You don't need to do that anymore because the chance of it spreading to you is 3% or less. Then they told us something else. Then they closed some businesses in some states, but they left other things open. In my home state of Michigan, they opened strip clubs where I guess lap dancing is socially distanced somehow. They opened those on May 15th. They didn't let movie theaters open until October 9th. Now they've closed movie theaters again, but salons are still open where people touch your head. They touch your hands to do your nails. Tattoo parlors are still open. None of it makes sense, all right? So this immunity thing, guess what? Now we have another story again. So today's New York Times says immunity to coronavirus may last years, maybe even decades. I thought they told us that if you have immunity at all, it's only going to last 60 to 90 days or maybe 6 months. They just don't know what they're talking about. So listen to this. It says 8 months after infection, most people who have recovered still have enough immune cells to fend off the virus and prevent illness, the new data show. A slow rate of decline in the short term suggests happily that these cells may persist in the body for a very, very long time to come. The research published online has not yet been peer-reviewed nor published in a scientific journal. That's usually the gold standard, but it is the most comprehensive and long-ranging study of immune memory to the coronavirus to date. And this was conducted by, among others, a top virologist at the La Jolla Institute of Immunology, and they also said that it jives with another finding about survivors of SARS, which is caused by a different form of coronavirus, that many of these people still carry the immunology 17 years later. So we don't really know. They don't know. They keep telling you different things. That's why people don't believe it. That's why when you tell people do this, no, do that, no, do this, it's like watching a tennis match. And people stop believing you. The boy who cried wolf only gets to cry wolf so many times until nobody listens to him anymore. That's what these experts are. So of course people are doubting them. When they tell us that, oh, we're anti-science or we don't believe in the science, wrong. I believe in science. I'm 100% for science. But you know what? When you open strip clubs but not movie theaters and you say it's based on science and data, show it to me. You can't, because there's no data in the world that will say that will back that move. All right? And when you tell me, oh, don't wear masks, wear masks, masks only protect you, no, now they protect the wearer, don't touch surfaces, oh, you can touch surfaces, you have immunology, no, you don't, yes, you do, no, you don't. People stop believing, and that's what happens, and that's why a lot of people in North Dakota are upset over this. And I just want to tell you, I am so proud of the elected sheriffs, the sheriffs in North Dakota. They are fabulous. Listen, many of these sheriffs are saying, we are not going to enforce this. Now, you know the mass penalty is $1,000. So listen to this. McKenzie County Sheriff Matthew Johansson says, we feel that to do so, enforcing the mandates takes away from your liberty to live freely under the Constitution of the United States. People should be free to choose for themselves if they want to wear a mask or not. This is not a law that we have passed. It's a mandate, and we don't desire to see it passed. With that established, the McKenzie County Sheriff's Office will not be enforcing any such mandate. Bravo, Sheriff Johansson. He's not the only one. Cavalier County Sheriff Greg Fetch. He said, many people are out of work. If they are unable to pay the citations fine, they could enter a vicious fine-paying cycle. He says it's silly to give a person a citation for not wearing a mask. Our jails are already full. Why would we want to try and put somebody in there for not wearing a mask? Good for you, Greg Fetch, Cavalier County Sheriff. Listen to this. I like this lady. Hettinger County Sheriff Sarah Warner. She said her officers would not be enforcing the mandates with the citations because this is a health issue, should not be turned into a criminal issue. Amen, sister. All right, when we come back, we are going to talk about what North Dakota parents are saying about this and what's going on in Fargo. That and more after these messages on No Filter with Debbie on Beck.
He once won a spelling bee in an ancient language that he did not speak. He is the only man to ever earn extra credit on an IQ exam. His academic degrees are considered legitimate spending currency in 22 nations, 2 principalities, and at Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States and Western Canada.
I do not always engage with education programming, but when I do, it is the Dr. Duke Show.
Stay educated with the Dr. Duke Show, weekdays at 4 p.m. on Beck News.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at AccordSleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My name is Rich Shook, and I lost my best friend in a grain bin accident.
Some of the emotional scars that when these incidences happen just resonates throughout the community like dropping a rock in a pond. I guess I'll never forget. At least the last moments we shared. That's why I think this is so important to get out there to people, is people think that it can't happen to you, and it can. The time it would take you to just kiss a loved one and your life is over. I believe it's unacceptable.
This message provided by North Dakota Farmers Union.
Welcome back to No Filter with Debbie on Beck. So a lot of reaction and pushback, not just the sheriffs, with regard to the governor's mandate and some of his conditions that are essentially sort of a lockdown, a partial lockdown. So this is my favorite story. So Dickinson Representative Luke Simons does not agree. He doesn't agree with the mask mandate. He's a barbershop owner. He does not agree with the restrictions on his business, just as he did not back when the governor had his original lockdown back in March and April. And he said he was going to open his barbershop then. He said he's not going to abide by these things now. He went on social media and spoke out against the mask mandate. Somebody on Facebook attacked him, and he told the person that he's a coward and he should come meet him face to face and not hide behind your screen name. You know what? He's under fire for saying that. The person's name is Randy. We're not going to give his full name, but I don't blame him for responding like that. Listen, I get attacked all the time. At least that person, by the way, gave his name. I get attacked by what I call these keyboard cowards, not because they're doing it from a keyboard. It's because they don't use a real name. They have some screen name. You'll never know who they are. They would never talk to any of their friends, any of their relatives, any of their coworkers or bosses the way they talk to me and the things they say to me. And they are cowards, because if they have the courage to say those things, have the courage to give your real name. It's not courage when you're doing it online and you're not giving out your real name. So Luke Simons is against this, and if there are more Luke Simons in the state, I think when the governor's restrictions end in the beginning of December, I think he is not going to renew them, because we will see they're not going to do anything about the numbers, and we'll talk about that. But listen, there's that, and also there's pushback from parents, because a lot of parents are upset that their children who are in school are now losing out on their sports and their extracurricular activities, and I don't blame them. And you know what? A lot of their elected legislators in North Dakota are upset about that too. And you know, like Ole Larson, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I think it's a man, said the real victims of this whole thing are the kids in the sports, the people with their business, and the small mom and pop. That's true, because a lot of these kids, they're going to buy supplies from these small mom and pop businesses that cannot afford to miss out on the business right now. Things are slow, and they've been shut down for so long because people have not been going out and buying. You know what? After a game, people go to bars and restaurants to celebrate. They're not going to do that. Those bars and restaurants are going to lose out on business. And there's even a petition with over 5,000 North Dakota parents and students asking the governor to roll this back. And I agree with them. Listen, you have to live your life. Don't take these kids' childhoods away from them. And I know you're saying, oh, it's only a few months, it's only half a year, it's only this, it's only that. You know what? Time flies. And it's only this, it's only that. That is a slippery slope. Let the kids live their lives. They're not the ones dying in North Dakota. I've read you the list over time. It's people in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and older who have pre-existing conditions, who have comorbidities that the governor is no longer identifying. And again, I'm not saying let's be godless and not care about these people. We do care about these people. But you have to act appropriately and treat them differently than the kids. Don't shut the kids down. All right, so there's that. Now, North Dakota, I've gone through the statistics with you before. Now, there is this article going around that North Dakota has the world's highest mortality rate. And we talked about this before. It's the case again because they go through all the countries in the world. Now, as I've said before, we also do the most tests in the world of any country if we were a country. So, of course, we're going to find the most cases and also have the most deaths because we're going to know what those are from. But guess what? You know what is number 3 on the list? South Dakota. You know what's number 9 on the list? Wisconsin. which has very strict mask mandates, very strict lockdowns. Why are they number 9 of all the countries of the world? Why is that? You know who's not on the list at all of the top 50? Florida. They have no lockdown, no mask restrictions. And you know what? They have very, very few deaths and also very, very few cases relative to their population. So this whole mask thing, it's just baloney. Now, Fargo officials, the commissioners, they disagree with Mayor Tim Mahoney's his lockdown, and they want to roll this back. They are trying. Now, yes, possibly Fargo is among the worst in North Dakota in terms of the cases. That's what they say. But you know what? Among the worst is the businesses. They are suffering. People are going to lose their livelihoods. That is not a good thing. You have to roll this back. So Dave Pepcorn is against this emergency declaration by the mayor. Commissioner Tony Gehrig thinks that they have to answer to the people who voted them in. Good for them for sticking up for the people. Now, it's almost Christmas, and some facilities in North Dakota, I had this on my phone, are still going to have Santa. Like in Fargo, for instance, you still can see Santa, but it's going to be on the weekends. It's limited days. You have to make an appointment. You can't just show up. I want to show you a couple of pictures of how kids are meeting Santa in some of the other states. It's through plexiglass. It's very, very scary. I think we have those pictures. I'm not sure. But in Bismarck also, the malls in Bismarck are still going to have Santa. Again, you have to make appointments. It's on limited days for limited hours. Let the kids have their Christmas. Live your life. North Dakota needs to live its life. And by the way, in New York, a lot of the sheriffs are not going to enforce the governor's rulings there either, the anti-Thanksgiving orders. We have to live our lives. Remember, things are not always as they seem. See you Monday.